better to get something done as opposed to nothing done, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, let's see here. I think we can close that. Yep. Okay. All right. So I need to figure out screen share. Let's see. What do we got? We've got, for some reason that keeps coming up. Zoom Pro, new tab, MS Outlook. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Can you see my computer screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into this as if I was doing it for the first time. But before I do that, I need to call up my desktop version because I'm going to be able to, I want to be able to copy paste a couple of things from it.
Yeah.
So that stuff's probably not going to be, man, I got some lights in the background kind of washing out my picture. I guess it doesn't matter. All right. So have you ever looked at Xactimate before, or is this your first time?
No, this is the first time. Just the printout or the PDFs you send me.
Sure. So you've seen the printouts, but you've never seen the back end. Well, that's good because that means I've got somebody brand spanking new. Oh, that's right. I changed the password. I've got somebody brand spanking new, which means that hopefully you'll have similar questions to questions that anybody else has. So since it's just you and me, I'm not going to mute you. I'm just going to literally, whatever questions come to mind, or if you want to verify something or whatever, that should make it pretty good ebb and flow or back and forth or whatever you want to call it.
All right.
The downside is that things are probably going to process a little bit slower, only because this is on a like a video conferencing thing. So we may have to deal with some delays. So this is the control panel, the control board. That's going to look pretty much the same in the online version as well. I have some notes that I use, like I copy paste stuff into Xactimate. So that stuff, I have those in a notepad.
Okay.
Which I guess the first question is, do you have a PC or do you have a Mac?
A PC.
Okay, good. Because the first thing to note is that Xactimate will only work on a PC and a PC environment on Windows, and then secondarily it only works on Internet Explorer. You cannot open it on anything else. Now I'm opening up Microsoft Edge because a lot of people have the newer Windows versions, and
Right.
when you try to log in, they're going to be like, how do I get in? They're going to be like, oh, it's not working, and that's because you're going in through Microsoft Edge. So if you go to the internet on a newer PC, and when I say newer, I mean like newer than probably 2013 or 14, you're going to have Microsoft Edge, and this will be the default browser or internet option. So if you go over here where there's 3 dots, you can come down and you'll see Open with Internet Explorer.
Okay.
The other option is you can actually open Internet Explorer from the toolbar, but a lot of people have issues with that. I just went ahead and maximized that so you can see that.
Okay.
Any questions how I got to this point so far?
No.
All right. I am going to open a new tab. I'm going to close this one. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to type in www, and if you want, I don't know if you want to try to follow along, you just won't be able to log in because I'm already online, obviously. So you're going to type in Xactimate.com/XO/. Do you need me to blow that up?
No, I can see. I'm good.
All right, hold on a second. I hear my son coming down. Hey, buddy. I just paused my video. Love you. You go to bed?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good night. You too. Your brothers and sisters in bed?
Yeah, well, not Chris and Ashley, because Mom said Chris could have food and Zachary for meat or chicken nuggets /
Okay.
Okay.
I love you too. Bye. Now, I do, let's see. Yes, I am recording. Okay. So if you could go ahead and try to do that part, go that far on your computer, Steve, can you do that right now?
Yeah, let me.
And the reason I want you to do it is because you're going to have to download a program which you probably don't have downloaded already, which is called Silverlight.
All right, hold on a second here.
I love you too, Precious. I'm trying to do some training. I love you. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye. It's like I'm on the phone. Anyway. All right, so you're not going to be able to log in because I am going to log in, but you should get prompted for something called Silverlight. Silverlight is it's like an app or an extension or whatever that loads on an Internet Explorer, and it's what actually allows Xactimate to load as an active database on your browser on your laptop. So it's probably,
all right.
That's probably more detail than most people need. So because you're going to be accessing my copy of Xactimate, the username is actually my email. Let's see. All right, let's try this again. There we go. So my username is ben@sellingisorganic.com. I will send you the password. I'm not going to tell you over the phone because it's probably going to end up changing because as more guys start to use it, people will, the password won't be the same or whatever. So, but anyway, see where it says, I always check off, remember Xactware ID. That way, when you go to log in again, you don't have to type in the email. It won't save the password, but it will save the email. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Did you have to download Silverlight or do you already have it?
No, I have to download it.
Okay, so that'll take 5 to 10 minutes to load up. Just click all the yes, automatic load, etc., and it'll automatically do it itself. Once you get to this login page, that means you're set up and ready to roll. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so you're going to put in the Xactware ID, which for you is my email, and then I'll send you the password, and you click login.
Okay.
And then you'll see that it's loading. What the heck? Oh, I guess I have to connect. I guess I've never connected before. All right, so I've never ever used this version, so this has never been used by anybody, so there's literally nothing in here. So the benefit to training you is I can show a number of things that would allow me to tell somebody to just, hey, go check out the videos and you can see how to set yourself up on the virtual server. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. So you won't have to do it, but if you ever had to do it on another version or on another laptop, if you ever buy your own whatever, you'd be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So the very first thing that you need to do is you have to download a price list because the Xactimate runs off of databases. They keep track of 400 plus. I can't remember how many, but they keep track of a bunch of different price lists. We won't talk about how accurate or inaccurate they are. This is just this is how you download them. So I don't know if you can follow my mouse over here on the far right-hand side. See where it says request price list?
Yep.
So you click on that. And we're in Virginia, so I can literally highlight Virginia. And then I download the entire state that I'm working in. So obviously the first city is selected. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to hit the shift key and then hit the key on my mouse. That allows me to select them all. And then I can download all the price lists for Virginia. So this is basically pulling down relevant data. Now I can request a price list because I'm a current subscriber. If I needed to write, if for some reason an insurance company wanted me to say, oh, you need to change your price list to, I don't know, let's say you need to pick the April price list because that's when the damage was. Well, there's ways to argue that, but if you're just trying to get something done, maybe you would go ahead and do that. Or maybe you're supplementing something, but it's been 2 months since we did the job. So let's say the roof got bought in May, you got involved in June, the roof got done in July, but here it is September. And the insurance company's like, well, when did you actually do the job? I did the job in July. Okay, well, I don't have that price list, but you can actually go request it. So I would actually have you do this if you were with me, but you're not with me, so I'm just going to do it again. So for sake of reputation, request price list. I'm going to enter North Carolina because I've got guys from North Carolina, right? Scroll down to the bottom, shift click, download the entire price list for the state of North Carolina. It actually takes a little bit longer to load on a desktop, because on a desktop it has to download, then it processes, but because this is the virtual version, it's way the heck faster. We'll do it again. I've got some guys that are going to be doing some work in West Virginia. So we'll download West Virginia. So far we've got, let's see, hold on, somebody send me a text. All right, so we've got West Virginia. In addition to West Virginia, let's see. We'll do one more. What's another state? I don't know. We'll just do Arizona as a random one. Any questions on how I'm doing this?
No, pretty straightforward so far.
Yep. So the price lists update on the 1st of the month. So if you find yourself getting ready to do an estimate and you know you're like at the 30th of the month or the 27th of the month or something, what I recommend doing is I recommend loading the price, write your estimate. I recommend writing the estimate at the current price list. Then when the new one comes out, you can reprice it and see if that makes any changes, positive or negative. And then obviously you want to go with the better price list. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so now we go to the control center. The control center, you won't ever deal with stuff down here. See this exact analysis communications. This is for like sending estimates to other users, receiving estimates from other users, all that sort of thing. You shouldn't ever need to use that. In fact, if something pops up in there that needs to be addressed, since this is my copy, I probably need to do it.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, in the dashboard, see how it says dashboard over here in the upper left? And this says control center. I never mess with preferences, document modules, contact managers, users. I never mess with any of this stuff. Okay. Data transfer would be if you're going to kick out, like an estimate or something. There's ways to send the raw data file, and this would be potentially one way to do it, but I never mess with that either. So typically this dashboard will load the last 10 that you've worked on. We haven't worked on any, so there's nothing showing, right? So then what you do is you go up here to the top left and you click on projects. And this will load all of the projects that are loaded into this particular system. Now, when if you really needed to kick something out, transfer raw data file, that sort of thing, you'd click on Xactimate. You go to Tools, go to Data Transfer this way. This is the better way to do it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You can also create a new project this way. But we're going to cancel because that's not how I want you to learn how to do it, right? So you can do that from the Xactimate tab, but I want you to get into the habit to looking at the control center and projects. All right, so we're going to add a project, and right now I need to pull up the estimate that you sent me. What's the guy's name? Shakir?
Shakir.
Oh, Shakir.
Shakiri, Shakeri.
A-E-R. Well, let's try that. I must be in the wrong. Let's try this. Look here. That's weird. It's not coming up in my email. Would the email have had a different title potentially? Let me look up under your name maybe. Let's try that. Let's see. We already did Kamali, right?
Yeah.
Kamali's done. Oops, Xactimate. Let's see. Let's look at this one. It says this is an additional one I have in your queue. 11708 April Rosebud.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so do you have a scope of work for this one, or do we just have the?
Just the he has not sent over the scope of work. He's the one that said he was probably going to cancel. He's on vacation right now.
Was he? So, and which one is that now?
Shakiri.
That's what this one is?
Yeah.
So Shakeri?
Yes, let me double check real quick. I think that's right. One second.
Sure. You know, the benefit to my video.
Contacts. Yeah, Shakeri.
Okay. Do you want me to put a first name on here, or do you just want to do, like, usually what I'll do is I'll do last name, first name, and then like the numbers of the address. If you don't know the first name, I can just put 11708 April Bud or something.
I have it's Assad, ASSAD.
ASSAD.
Yeah.
And we'll do 11708. So the reason I do it this way is because I want to be able to run a search. Like once we get lots of projects in here, you want to be able to run a search by the customer name. You don't want to try to remember some random string of numbers, A. B, some customers have more than one property. So if you don't use the property address, like the address number, you won't be able to differentiate between the estimates. So,
okay.
You know, and then sometimes like with, let's say you had a, I don't know, maybe you had a homeowner that had a duplex, or maybe they've got 3 houses on the same street or something. So you might have 11708A, 11708B, you know, it just depends on how the insurance companies do it. But that's why I name my file this way. That way I don't have to try to figure out where that particular estimate is. So if I can't finish it, I can go back to it, make changes, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want to pay attention to this. Right now it's defaulted for carrier. You don't want that. You want it to be for contractor, right? And you want it to be for estimate. You don't want it to be for valuation or FEMA flood. Those are different things. Label, if you wanted to, you could call all of yours purple, and then you could run a search for purple, and then everything that comes up purple is something that you've written, but that's absolutely not necessary. I don't ever do that. But, if you wanted to, you could. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to hit OK. So it's going to generate the new project. All right, so you're always entering your data generally in the center or maybe the lower left. Up here in the upper left, you've got, hey, video collaboration. You can check things off. Images, this is where we load pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and load some pictures. And the pictures that I always load are for the technical stuff from GAF. I assume you're putting GAF on his roof?
Yes.
So one of the reasons I like to use GAF is they have all these nice technical pictures. So I literally go in and I just copy, paste, right? And then I hit open. And let's see, yes. Okay, yes. So you may have a memory browser issue that the system should automatically prompt you to adjust. All right, this is a random picture. I don't know why that's still in my stuff, so I need to delete that. See how I highlighted it? I actually hit delete, but you could also hit delete selected, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's my first question. Does this guy have any skylights?
He does not.
Okay, so he has no skylights, and for some reason I have our contractor license in there twice. So control click allows me to select more than one. Now I'm going to delete selected, right?
Yep.
Now, in order to rearrange the order that these print out in, like I like our logo to go first, then I go to the ice and water shield stuff. So because of the way, like I could actually change the numbers, like I could actually fix this, but this is good from a training standpoint because I can show you how to reorganize the pictures.
Yeah, just drag them.
Exactly. So it's literally just drag and drop. See the little line with the circle that shows you where it's gonna get dropped.
Okay.
So, let's see what else we want to do. Okay, I'm gonna drop that here. Actually, that's drip edge. Oh, that's another ice and water shield picture. So we're gonna drop that there. So this is where ice and water shield goes in the colder zone. This is how it gets installed. Picture framing 24 inches past the interior heated wall. This shows ice and water shield on your hips, right? This shows ice and water shield on your step flashing.
Shoot, hey, man, I'm sorry, dude. He does have. I was looking at the pictures now. He does have a skylight. I'm sorry.
Oh, he does? Well,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Guess what? That's super easy to fix. So, ice and water shield on your transitions. Like if you've got a change in pitch on your roof, you're supposed to put ice and water shield and metal on that transition. So that would basically be like a horizontal valley. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we're going to go back in and say, oh, I accidentally deleted the skylights. Let's go ahead and put those pictures back in. It's going to automatically load them at the end, but I want my nailable surface pick to go down here. See how that worked?
Yep.
This, I always delete the date. Yeah, no, I'm not deleting them. I'm just deleting it. And then I'm just going to put sample pick, right? Because obviously we haven't done the job yet.
Right.
And then if you want to, you can actually look at the pictures, right? So see how you've got exposed nail heads after your tear off?
Yep.
And I took that before they tore the paper off. But you can literally go through and look at your pictures and be like, yep, that's all good. You can actually put a description in here if you want to. You can title it. I don't generally do that, but you can. Sometimes you need to, especially if you're writing an estimate for a reinspection or something, you may want to do that.
Okay.
All right, so this guy's name is Asad Shakiri. And he's at 11708 April Bud Drive. Oh, wow, my typing is bad. April Bud Drive. He's in well, actually, this is Henrico, isn't it?
Henrico, yeah.
That defaults to Virginia, or Richmond. I have no idea why. That's really stupid. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, so we've got all these attachments. Okay, I don't know why that's giving me a fit. Let's see. Hit save. Okay, that's weird. I've never seen that error before. No notifications. Okay, all right. All right. You want to put a phone number and email in for him? You certainly don't have to.
No, it's okay.
Sometimes, depending on what's going on, I may want to backdate the estimate for when I first started it. The estimate, I don't ever enter anything else here. These things will when you print it, it will say the estimate was completed at the date and time you print it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So we'll drop down here. This is for hail and wind, or what is it?
It's hail and wind.
Hail and wind. Well, then you're going to use hail, and then you can put I'll show you where you can put a statement that says this is for hail and wind. Do you have a claim number?
I do. 1 second. Let's see. It is IAK.
Oh, hold on. IAK
4651.
4651. So
Yeah.
I always put the claim number as the file number. That way, it gives you another way to search the file. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who was texting me? Let's see, where are we at? Okay. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we're going to enter you as an estimator. All right. You want Steve or Steven?
Steve's fine.
Quick code. Steve B. RVA. So that means this is, for me, that's Steve Burton, Richmond estimator, right?
Yep.
For an address, I always use the office. Suite 300, Richmond, A23225. Office number is 804-420-8797. What's your cell phone?
804
Yeah.
380-6738.
6738.
Yeah.
And then our fax number is 888-371-9080. Your email is steve.burton@infinityroofer.com. Then it's going to say, what company do you pick? Well, obviously you work for Infinity, but Infinity hasn't been added yet. So we're going to add you we're going to add Infinity Roofing, the company, right?
Yeah.
Infinity Roofing and Siding. And we're just going to call this Infinity. Oops, there's the Infinity. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. No, Infinity RVA. So I'm just going to re-enter the data. Beaufort Springs Drive. Now the benefit is whenever anybody else comes in, if they want to use the RVA office, it will already be added. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So once it's in, it doesn't have to be added again. You need something, Zachary?
When you're done tonight or whatever, can you check with Ashley, Josh, because they're not going to bed?
Tell your mother I'm like in the middle of something.
Okay.
Tell them they will all be losing privileges if they don't be going to bed like now. All right, let's see. Where are we here? Oh, 804-420-8797. That's business. We will do fax, which is 888. Oh, 371-9080. I usually default my address here just so it's something different. And then you do okay. So you're like, oh, what company am I picking? Oh, I'm picking the RVA office, right? So it's the RVA office for you as an estimator. So we hit okay. So now you're the only estimator in here so far, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions on how I did that?
No. So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm recording this so you could go back and look at it again, but
Yeah.
so
I'm taking notes as well.
I've added you as an estimator. I've added the company, meaning the company at the specific address. So there's only one price list because we've never done anything else. This will automatically default to the correct price list for the address. When you add the price list specifically, it's also going to pull up the tax rate. Is this a roof-only job?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave overhead and profit off if it's roof-only. Now, if you want, there is a way to make a roof-only job. There is a way to make it have GCO&P, but is this a reinspection or what's the deal with this?
No, he's already been approved. He's just holding on committing. I think what happened, I think what happened is I think somebody came in behind me, knocked on his door and said that they could do it for $8-9 grand. So he got a little feisty with me because I started questioning, because it's only his deductible. And he just said, I'm just trying to make sure it's quality and I'm not making a decision until I get back from vacation. Send me your estimate. So he may still end up bailing on me after doing all this. I mean, I need to learn this anyway, but
I would not give this to him. Do not give an estimate to a customer. It's our proprietary property. We're not going to give this to the insurance company. So you're only showing this to him to show what the insurance company didn't pay. But do not give him a copy of this if he's giving you fits like that.
okay.
Because what he's going to do is he'll try to take this and then try to get more money and then use the cheaper contractor. He's trying to figure out how to make a profit.
It feels that way.
So we don't have this is how you actually add the company logo to the estimate. So over here, see how it says company header? So you have to pick the right location. We don't have one yet, so we're going to add one. So this is Infinity RVA. There it is. Yeah. Company name is Infinity Roofing and Siding. That's what will be in. That's what will be bolded. And then up here, I just go ahead and put in all the company information. So Beaufort Springs Drive, Suite 300, Richmond. Ooh. Wow, I can type. Richmond, Virginia. 23225. And then we're going to go phone, which is 804-420-9787. And then we're going to do fax, which is 888-371-9080. And then you're going to do Virginia license number. And that number is, that's a North Carolina deal. Oh, that's cute. Okay, here we go. It is 2705-154866.
If he is demanding on the estimate, can I do it in an estimate form without the details? I mean, a dollar form without the details? Or just
you can, but what I would do is I would tell him that you need to meet with him because we don't hand out our estimates. We don't just give our estimates out. And I would just tell him that you're not allowed to give out an Xactimate estimate to clients because what we've found in the past is that customers will try to take our estimate and then try to negotiate with the insurance company on their own and then try to cut us, try to not work with us. All right, did you see how I added the image or no?
Yep. Yep.
So basically, since this is a training video, you enter in all your information. You want to add an image. You got to go to the folder on your computer. You obviously already have to have the picture on your computer. Double click and enter it, and then there it is. And then you hit OK, and then you select it, and now that header will print out.
Gotcha.
Oh man, why does that not want to? Sketch. I never use it, but I'll look at it really quick. You can actually draw out the roof. You can draw out rooms. Like you can actually sketch it out in here, but it takes so freaking long. It's just, it's not worth it. Some guys will do it because they think it saves them time in writing the estimate. But, you know, once you write the estimate, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Let's see. All right, so this pulls you in. So this is the general folder or the master folder, whatever you want to call it. This is where all the information goes. When you want to add a subfolder or a subsection, you know how when you look at an Xactimate, you see how it has different sections?
Yep.
So you're going to click Add here in the upper left-hand corner. So let's call this Roof. Then if I stayed here and I add again, like let's say Flat Roof, that would be that's usually it'll usually show up as a folder within a folder like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I accidentally do that, I'm going to drag this over and up. Come on. There we go. And you can pull it out. You can also delete it. You can either delete it by right-clicking, or you can highlight it and delete it. Either way, it's going to say what you're deleting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do a folder. We'll call it miscellaneous exterior. And I'm going to pick a statement here that's called, I call it the right to retain supplement. Basically says, hey, if we find other damage, we're going to go ahead and add it. So when you're in a folder, see where it says notes?
Mm-hmm.
So you can hit function F9. Oops, hello. Let's try that again. You can hit F9, and that'll bring up, sorry, function would shift it. But if you just hit F9, that will pull up the notes. Or you can double click on the section that says notes. See how I did that?
Yep.
And I already copied and pasted my statement. And then I want to hit add. You don't really need to hit add, but I do out of habit. Used to be you had to hit add. Now it'll just automatically put it in there. So see that statement I wrote? Now it's actually
yep.
All right, so we'll come back here to the roof. And all right, so let's look at your thing here. Oh, this is the guy that's missing all the shingles. At least it looks like he's missing a bunch of shingles on the side of his house there.
Yeah, the garage side.
Yeah, I can't really tell in the picture. Does he have an architectural? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, there's a couple of different ways. When you're looking, because this is a database program, you can literally go to this box right here, see how it says search?
Okay.
So the cursor was here, so that's how you know that your items you're going to enter are going to go in here into this section. So I go to search, and I can type in 3-tab, and then it starts to bring up options, right? It'll automatically do what I call a quick search, or it'll like, so if you're trying to find something, you can type in different words to try to figure stuff out. When I first started, my entire training on Xactimate consisted of getting to this and saying, here, play with this, and you can find all the stuff, just make it match the scope.
Okay.
That was the entire, that was my 5 minutes of training, and I basically spent the rest of the time trying to figure out how to use it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so it's not a 3-tab, it's an architectural. So then I start to write to architectural. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, well, it's a laminated shingle. Let's try that. Hey, check that out. So I'm being facetious, obviously. So, oops. Yes, I know it's not working, whatever. Okay. So I happen to know the codes. Like I would have used 300S. So notice the difference between 300, 300E, and 300S. These are all architectural shingles. They're technically the 30-year. 400 would be the old 40-year. 500 is the old 50-year, right? But now everything's 50-year, whatever.
Okay.
So I never use with felt because I want my felt to be separate. A, because I'm doing ice and water shield, and B, it artificially lowers your estimate by, $1, $1.50 a square sometimes. So
Gotcha.
I always pick the S, which means without felt. Why S? I have no idea, but that's what it is. Now, it will automatically load shingles as a two-line item, take off and replace. That's because you always have to have waste, right? So not everything is calculated with waste. How are you doing so far?
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay. So assuming your estimate is correct, your E360, your tear off is 27.60 squares. Notice this, SQ, you got to make sure that you're not doing square feet, SF, right? Or an each, or a linear foot, right? You got to make sure that your calculations are accurate, otherwise things are going to get screwed up. So, like I have my personal biggest mistake on estimates is I go to enter the ice and water shield, and I'll forget that ice and water shield is in as a square foot, and I'll enter it as a square, and I'll end up with like $50 for ice and water shield. And the insurance company's like, awesome. Hey, I'm going to supplement that. Now, another neat thing about Xactimate is you can actually see how there's a little calculator here?
Yeah.
You can, it's an open calculator. So I can actually calculate my waste right here. Because it's a gable style roof, I can go, all right, so let's go 27.6 times 1.1. I know that's 10%. Check that out. So with 10% waste, I'm at 30.67 squares. I don't want to leave that formula in. I'm just going to go ahead and enter it like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Next thing. So I always think about a roof in terms of the tear off and how I go about building it. So the next thing that happens after you tear it off is you got to nail all the nails back down, right? So So what I'm going to do is I change that re-nail to hammer down nail heads exposed by tear off, right? Notice it's in square feet. There's no waste on it, right? That's just flat out. And you'll notice that's $21 a square. So do you think that's a big deal? Short answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so after you tear everything off, what's the next thing that goes on? Well, generally speaking, the next thing that goes on is my ice and water shield. After my ice and water shield, I'm probably putting on drip edge. because we have a builder gap here in Virginia, I always use the larger drip edge. Frankly, that's a little bit low. After drip edge, I'm going to have valley metal. Is usually painted. Is his valleys open or closed? Do you remember?
They were metal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So he's got valley metal, right? And then after that, we go with the underlayment, which happens to be 30 pound, which is going to be, the adjuster is going to put in, the reason the adjuster uses the shingles with felt is because shingles with felt is default for 15-pound felt. Well, this roof is steep as all get out. You can't use 15-pound felt on a steep roof. It's a fall hazard, as well as the fact that the organic felt paper will tear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
is that in the spec stuff, or
I
argue
that with adjusters, and they don't usually argue it with me, believe it or not.
Okay.
So instead of 15-pound felt, I automatically go to 30-pound felt. You can't make them upgrade to a synthetic because 30-pound is available, and it's basically the same thing. So, and there's not a huge difference, but you will notice that if I used 15-pound felt, look at the price difference. It's $5 per square. So all the little things matter, right?
Yeah, adds up.
All right. So after, let's see. So after we install our shingles, right? After we install our shingles, we're going to put on our ridge cap. And you have to put in a high-profile ridge cap, because regular ridge cap, which is at 586, that's for a 3-tab shingle. You cannot install a 3-tab shingle bent on top of an architectural shingle because it's not designed for that. Does that make sense? That's in the installation instructions.
Okay.
So we're going to put this, I'm going to say, per Eagle View and the manufacturer's installation instructions, only approved, only approved hip and ridge style shingles can be installed on architectural laminate dimensional, right? Because some people call them architectural, some people call them dimensional. So I put it all in there. Wow, I can spell. Architectural dimensional laminate asphalt shingles. Then in parentheses, I'm going to put attached. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. So our ridge cap is, where's our ridge cap? So ridges and hips. Doesn't look like you've got any hips.
No.
No. And it looks like you've got 98.8. So I'm just going to round that up and call that 99 linear feet of ridge. Let's see. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now we need to get into I'm going to come back to this. Let's see. We're going to come back to this other stuff here. So drip edge, that's your rakes and your eaves. So your rakes are 176.3 and your eaves are 169.4. So I'm just going to do 177 plus 169.5, and that puts me at 346.5. So 346.5, there's no waste there, right?
Okay.
Your valley is 59.9, so we'll just call that 70 feet. We'll come back to our ice and water calculation here in a minute. All right, so do you know how many pipe flashings you have? Pipe jacks?
Oh, not off the top of my head. It's not on there. Let's see.
It's not gonna be, no. You would have to know.
Let's
I mean,
see.
in the houses in that area, they've got typically 4 or 5.
I was going to say 5.
And he's probably got 2, and just about every house out there has got 2 furnace caps. So, yeah, based on the pictures, it looks like you're probably, I don't know. You can put on 5 if they come back and say it's 4. It's like whatever. But, you know, it looks like you have 5 on there. It looks like you've got 3 on the steep part and 2 on the less steep part.
Yeah, I believe that's right. So that's good to know from a
Right. Now here's something else. Here's something else to look at. Furnace, and the other reason I know that is I've done roofs in that neighborhood. So if you type in furnace cap, or if you just type in furnace, you'll see furnace, vent, rain cap, and storm collar. Another way to do this is, let's see. So the furnace cap, right? The furnace, vent, rain collar. Let's see. That's at 66 and 73. Another way to do that is exhaust cap through roof. That's 82. So guess what I'm going to use? Right? And those are very similar descriptions, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how many skylights does he have? Just one?
He has 2.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways to look at this. You could go skylight, and he's probably got a standard like 3x4s or something.
Yeah, he's got 2. He's got a small one on the garage and a larger one on the back side of the house.
Okay, so if you look at this, see how you got skylight flat fixed, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, right? 464, 511. I don't use that because that doesn't even cover our costs. So what I use is a roof window. Oh, come on. Where are we here? Roof window. Roofing window. Let's see. Oh, I may have to go about it a different way. Let's see. Hold on. Skylight. Deglaze. Clean roof window. Okay. All right. Skylight. There we go. I don't know why the hell that didn't work. Okay. So you think the smaller one's like a 3x3?
Yeah.
So we'll do a smaller one, and then we'll do roof window again. It's probably a slightly bigger one.
Yeah.
Okay. This generally, now if you want to know, let's see, okay, so what's included in this? So see when you hit click for detail, it tells you double glazed roof window, step flashing kit, installation labor, right?
Yeah.
So see why I've got, see why I use the roof window?
Gotcha.
That's actually closer to covering our costs. That's
Mm-hmm.
all right. Now, let's see. So, we're going to try to get them replaced. The insurance company may or may not agree to that. But, you know, one of the questions I would ask the homeowner is, like, why would you leave a 15-year-old skylight on a brand new roof? Like, you know, the insurance company may not want to pay for it, but, you know, they should. It's part of the roof. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh, we need to, so if you look at pictures of the house on your E360, let's see. Okay, so if you go all the way to page 10, if you look on the second picture, the one that's to the right,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Well, let's see. No, let's go up one. Okay, go up to page 9. On the first picture, see on the left side, you've got that little tiny piece of roof. That's called a gable cornice return.
Yeah.
And I believe you have 4 of those on that house. So we do.
Yes, I believe that's right.
Right. So we have
All of-
gable cornice return. You see there's 3 tab laminated and then laminated 2 stories or greater. So we're going to do a gable cornice return laminated, right? And then we're going to do a gable cornice return laminated 2 stories or greater because the other one's above the front porch.
No.
And then you've also got gable cornice strip. I use these for the little chimneys on the side. You know how like sometimes people will have a pull-out for their chimney and it's this little tiny piece?
Yeah.
Well, it's bigger than a cornice return, and it's generally 4 or 5 feet, wide. Sometimes they're bigger, but usually not, right? So I'll use that for that as well. Make sense?
Yep.
All right, let's see. Let's go back to home. Search the price list. Okay, now I'm back in the price list. Okay, yes, I know. You don't want to print or whatever. Okay, so let's think through. The other thing that we have is steep and high. And if you look at your summary page on your, I guess it would be page 2 of your E360. On an Eagle View, it's going to be page 10 generally. Page 10 of the PDF, not page 10 by the page number on an Eagle View. Let's see. Okay, so you have in the steep, you've got 712 to 912, right? Because you have 9.79 square feet of 912, right? You don't have anything lower than that. So your tear off there is 9.79. Oops, I forgot. That's 1. Notice I always put in the period. So I do the 1.00. I always go to the hundreds place. That's so that things print out in a consistent format or form, so it's easier to read. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
And then we're gonna go 9.79 times 1.1. Now, some insurance companies will try to tell you that they will try to do the tear off and the replace the exact same on your steep and high. But my argument is just because it's steep and high, your waste doesn't magically disappear. You still have to carry those shingles up, and you're still manipulating that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I always have a waste factor on my steep and high. So then we've also got a notice you've got steep. See how you've got 712 to 912, 1012 to 1212, and then you've got greater than 1212.
Yeah.
When I go to mansard, I actually charge more for mansard. That's a greater than 1212, and I would actually enter that differently. So at another time, I'll show you how to do a manual add. And then we've got steep for greater than 1212. All right, so
That's
your 3.98 squares for your 1212, and you are 10.29 on your 1512.
Yep.
And we are 3.98 times 1.1, so that's 4.38, which takes you up to 4.67, because you can't round down. And your 10.29 times 1.1 is 11.99, so it's going to be 12 squares, right?
Yep.
All right, so let me think this through. The current pipe jacks aren't painted. We're going to paint them anyway, but if you were doing a roof that it had been painted, there's actually a line item to paint your pipe jacks. Notice you have a running total up here.
Yep, yep, yep.
And then you've got a running total in the lower right-hand corner for your after taxes and whatnot.
And we still have to add in the
ice and water shield in your felt.
Yeah, yeah.
So I go into notes, and I'm going to do rakes are 177 linear feet. Your valleys plus eaves. Well, let's see. No, let's do this way. Your valleys are 70 linear feet. Your eaves are 170 linear feet. Technically, you can also add your penetrations and other stuff, but you know, this, I'm not trying to go to that level of detail for this customer. Like when we actually work with the insurance company, we'll add in this other stuff.
Okay.
Right. So there's other stuff we can add. So your total linear footage is, oh, come on, really? You are, let's see, 170 and 170 is 200, 347. 347 and 70 is going to be 417.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yep.
So 407. Ooh, hello. 417 linear feet. Now we're just going to go by 3 linear feet equals, it's going to be 1,200 and something. Can't do that math in my head. 1,249 or something. I don't know. 417 times 3 equals 1,251. 1,251. Oops.
4.
Did I do that right?
Yep.
So what I'm doing now, you could add per manufacturer's installation instructions, right? So remember, this is square feet, not squares. And then I'm going to go, okay, so if so I'm 27.60 minus 12.51. So I need 15.09 on my underlayment. Underlayment, you never round underlayment. I don't know why, but nobody ever does. All right, so our replace is 30.67. So our middle of the road, not completely maxed, but not cheap either, estimate is at 15,941.80 divided by 30.67. I'm at 519 a square. Now, if we add in all the taxes and the other stuff, we'll do 16,225.34 divided by 30.67. Oops. Try that again. 16,225.34 divided by 30.67. So this estimate, without making all of the changes, like there's more stuff I could throw into it. Right now, we're at 530 a square.
So that's awesome, but just in my short time, I know they're going to probably fight back on some of that stuff.
I'm going to take the labor minimums off. And yes, they will fight back on it, but here's the reality. They turned in an estimate. I'll bet their estimate somewhere between 330 and 380 a square. So you guys will probably end up settling somewhere in the 400s.
Yeah, travelers.
Yeah, they'll add to it. They're not going to add everything to it, but they will add. I can tell you I've gotten ice and water shield. I've gotten drip edge from some people with travelers, but other guys won't pay for it. So it just varies. But they can't argue the gable cornice return. They will argue the roof window. They can't argue the steeps. You know, they might not even have the steep and high on there. I've seen that stuff left off a lot. So let's just say that this is our estimate. We'll go up here to complete. Change estimate status to completed. Do you want to resequence your line numbers? Yes, I would like to resequence. Oh, come on. Why are you not letting me do this? Shit. All right, so now it's packaging it up so I can print it. So can you understand why you wouldn't take this to a guy that's already had a quote for $8,000?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, what you do is you sit down with him and say, so let's see the estimate from the other guy. Okay, well, why'd he leave off all this other stuff? This is what the insurance company is supposed to pay. Oh, is the other guy certified? Oh, okay. So he's not going to give you an extended bumper-to-bumper warranty? Oh, okay. Because at $530 a square, I would give him a golden pledge. At $450 a square, I'd give him a golden pledge. At $400 a square, I'd give him a silver pledge. At $350 a square, he's not getting shit unless he pays for it.
Gotcha.
But I'll still build it right.
Right.
I'll build it so that if the customer wants to pay me for the extended warranty, I can get paid for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying to, apparently there's some server issue going on right now. I don't know what's going on.
Hopefully everything is saved in there for you.
Well, that's what it's trying to do right now, I think.
I suspect, you do this a dozen times or so. I mean, it's probably going to be a labor the first time or two. Or five.
It used to take me an hour to an hour and a half to write just a roof estimate because I just had to think it through and to make sure I did it right, double check my pictures, make sure I didn't miss anything. I still miss shit, but I go way the hell faster now. The other thing is you could create a template that has everything in it, and you could literally go through that template and delete the stuff that you don't have, right? That's another way to do it. I just think that adds a lot of extra work. I don't like doing it like that. You can also copy your estimates. So, like, you could take an estimate that you've written and you could copy it. It's called duplicating it.
Okay.
What is this thing doing? Let's see. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Man, what is that thing doing? I think I can edit this video. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of explaining and stuff, so, all the talking and obviously when you're doing it, it's not going to take you it shouldn't take you near as long as it took me to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm logging into the online help center. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I've got technical services on my other laptop. He's like, so sometimes when you go to load a picture in here, it'll pop up and it'll be like a square with a circle and a slash through it, and it'll say unavailable because it didn't load properly. So if you look, I don't know if you noticed, did you see there was an asterisk next to the 11708, and then when I hit save, the asterisk went away?
No, I didn't remember that.
All right, hold on. Let me try something here. So I'm going to look at the pictures, right? And I do this, right? So the system sees that as a change. When it does that, it'll put a little asterisk up here.
Oh, okay, I see it.
When you see this asterisk, that means the system thinks that you have unsaved data. So if you've written a bunch of stuff, you want to periodically click the save button, because if you don't and that asterisk doesn't go away, if the system crashes, like right now, it looks like it's pending crash, you can lose everything that you've done. Like you could lose, I've lost 2 hours of work before. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, God. Yeah, we should have like an automatic.
It does have an autosave function, but it doesn't always work, and I think it's defaulted for 15 minutes, but it doesn't always do it, and I don't know why.
So he's telling you that something didn't export or import, I mean?
Oh, no, he was asking me of something.
Oh.
I guess I can hit refresh on the browser. I don't know what else to do. So I hit refresh on the browser. This is the one downside to Xactimate. It is a little bit glitchy. All right, well, at least it allowed me to save and exit.
Yeah. Still got you over 16.
All right, so I'm gonna hit log out so he can do whatever he's doing. So the one thing I haven't showed you is how to print, but I mean that's generally, and sometimes you get logged out, you can literally click here to log back in. You want to hang out for a minute and see if he can show us, or see if
Yeah, I've got a few more minutes.
I know it's getting late. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
All right. All right, hold on. Let's try this again. SOCL321. Oh, were you able to download Silverlight and get that thing to load up? Were you able to get to the login?
Yeah, that was
.com/XO/
Xactimate.com.
You're not going to be able to log in because I'm in it right now, but I just want to see if you can get to the login page. All right, he got it to do what's called complete, right? You saw how I hit complete and said,
Yeah.
and it said, do you want to resequence? And I said yes, right? So when it says put everything in sequence, that means that what it does is it takes everything that I've ordered because everything that I've written, because what it does is sometimes things get put in out of order and you shift things around or whatever, right? Or if you're copying, pasting from another estimate or whatever. So now that I've got it done, I can hit print reports. You with me so far?
Yeah, yeah.
And we click on print report. I take off recap by category because sometimes I take stuff from other categories and I'll edit it so that it works for what I need it to. I'm also gonna unclick summary of add-ons. I will leave the recap by room. Obviously, I want my images to print. I'm gonna leave my summary. I'm gonna go over here to images. I don't want 1 per page. I want 2 per page. You could put as many as 4 per page, but they start to get really small and hard to see. 2 per page is enough. That saves space without being, overly cumbersome, right?
Yep.
Go back to print options. See how it says abbreviated? So
Yep.
it's to give you a bunch of different options here. Let's see. So I never use most of these different ones because I never use final draft or any of these others because it doesn't allow me to, for whatever reason, I don't know why, it doesn't let me print my header. So I always click rough draft. And then I'm going to click export. Do you want to save? Okay, sure. So it's saving it as a file on my computer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I'm saving it as a PDF. So we'll go into Virginia clients. I'm pretty sure I have a Burton one here somewhere. Oh, there you are. And I'm going to rename this Infinity. You can use whatever nomenclature you want, but this is the stuff that I use. So Infinity, and then I'm going to give it a date. And I usually put revised because it's revised over what the insurance company approved, usually.
Okay.
Now I'm going to hit save. All right, so it's saved because obviously that finished. The other thing that you can do is you can view it. Let's see. I don't want it to print necessarily. Close that. Okay. I'm not going to do that. So it's supposed to. Okay, I don't know why it keeps asking me to do that. Save as. Okay, that's weird. The options are a little bit different online. I guess it won't let me do a browser. It won't let me view it. Like when I'm in one of my estimates in here, like we'll just pull this one up. This is one I wrote on my desktop. I can go to print or email. I click on print or email. It gives me the option to view, right?
Okay.
So I can, it will print a view, because what it's doing is it's using whatever imaging software on my computer, so I can actually look at what the estimate looks like before I save it, like just to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes. So see all that stuff. I'm not putting any of this stuff, like cover letter stuff. I'm not putting any of that into the estimate for Mr. Shakiri, because again, I'm not doing free consulting work for the guy.
Yeah.
We're borderline doing that for him now as it is. The point to Mr. Shakiri is, like, why would you want somebody who's clearly not charging you anything close to what they should in order to properly install your roof? So the question I got to ask you, Mr. Shakiri, is what corners are they cutting? Because it's impossible to do a job that inexpensively and do it right.
Yeah.
So since there's no way to actually preview the file online, you want to go into the file that you just printed. Let's go ahead and pull it up, see what it looks like. Obviously, you want to read it before you send it off, right? Okay, there's our logo. Looks like all that stuff printed out good. Operator, it shows as me because it's my software, but you're the estimator. So you can see it's got your information on there, your email, your business line. So that's how it's defaulting, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see it's listed as a hail claim. If you want to, when we actually redo this, we'll add a statement that says this is for hail and wind, not just hail, right? And then you can see here's your estimate, right? It's just the roof. This is your main folder title, right? And this was the first subfolder title. And you can see, like, here's my notes on the ice and water, right? Remember the F9 notes I showed you? This is how they print out.
Yep.
There's no overhead and profit, so that's not on here. So your roof is 16,225.34. Miscellaneous exterior, hey, we might end up supplementing it. I don't know. So here you are with your line item total, your material sales tax after tax, that's your total, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, by the way, here's all my pictures as to, hey, we're going to do it right. And this is why you want to use me.
Gotcha.
Image detail, I can take that off, but either way, that we know that that is good to go. So I'm going to close that. Minimize that, go over to here. I don't need to do that. Let's see, where are we? Reload my email. We're gonna go, boom. Let's see. Steve Burton. Shakiri facade estimate. Here you go. All right. Okay. All right, so I don't need support anymore, so I can shut that box down. Yeah, I can close that. And we are going to attach here. Rep. Where are we? Virginia. Oh, Burton. Assad. Double click. Upload it, right? Attach it, emailed, boom, done.
There you go.
So what, do you have any questions about all the stuff we did? I'm going to slice and dice this video into different pieces and parts.
Yeah.
Is there any part of that, like why I did what I did or how I did, is there anything that you have questions about, or do you feel like you've heard enough before that you understood most of it, or?
Yeah, I understood most of it. And, I think there's a good explanation on why you're picking some versus others. It's, you know, to be blunt, it's a dollar amount, you know, so that's good to know. And then, you know, I guess the other part is, you know, when I send this stuff in, you know, the haggling back and forth, but to this date, I've only, you know, the office folks have dealt with that. You know, I haven't had to get on the phone and haggle with an adjuster anywhere yet.
You can write the Xactimate and send it to the office and let the office do it for you if you want, if you've already got the deal. You know, there's different ways to go about it. One is to write the Xactimate, argue it yourself. And then if you get stuck, say, well, I don't know what I can do here. I'm going to have to turn this over to my office. My office is going to have to take this from here, and I guess they'll have to tell you what they're willing to do or not willing to do, because, right? So use the office for leverage from that standpoint. That's option A. Option B, don't supplement it at all. Have the office supplement it via invoice on the back end, right? So the office can do similar stuff, but they're not going to do an Xactimate.
Well, I guess that's the other side of it is if office is taking care of it, are they going to be up to speed with Virginia codes? And
the answer is sort of. The office is not bad, but frankly, I've figured out we get a lot of stuff here in Virginia because I've figured out what we can ask for. So at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, you will or you should be able to get more than the office. But if you're trying to turn and burn it, you've only got so much time in the day. The office will probably get anywhere from 60 to 80% of what you asked for. Every once in a while, they'll hit a home run and they'll get as much or maybe even more than you, but that almost never happens. The other thing to consider is that the office is really good at taking an Xactimate that you give them and then they go argue it. But and that's more important when you've got multiple trades and other things going on. But if you have a situation where it's roof only, dude, give it to the office, move on down the road, because the office is pretty good at the roof only.
okay.
It's once you start getting more complicated with other trades, other stuff, and having to go back and forth and all the other happy horse hoo-wah, that's where the office is not going to be effective for you, because they're not on the job. They can't describe it. They don't know how to argue for it. All they're going to be able to say is, well, that's our estimate. And with some adjusters that will work, and about 80% of them it won't.
Gotcha.
So if your goal is to turn it, burn it, make as much money as fast as you can, then I would stay away from doing the other trades. But you know, if you're comfortable with the other trades because you've already sold them elsewhere, i.e. windows, doors, you know, patios, deck, siding, whatever, then just realize that the office is not going to be great if it's not roof related, because they're not on the site. They can't really argue it the way you would be able to argue it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, understood.
Any other questions? Those are great questions. Any other questions?
No, not on this, but while I have you, just one, I guess some advice. I had a referral. And short story is she filed a claim back in April. Almost everybody in her neighborhood's got a new roof. She filed for hail. Her insurance company came out, denied the claim. Then a roofer came. Actually, the first time they told her that I guess somebody knocked on her door and told her she had hail damage. It was an out-of-state contractor, and her insurance company told her that, oh, we don't trust out of state. You need to get somebody local. Short story, she got Nathan's to come out. They said she had hail damage. They got a re-inspection. They declined it. So she called me because she got a referral from a house that I got approved, asked me to come take a look at it.
When did she file originally?
Back in April.
When did they come out and look at the roof?
I don't know those dates yet.
Okay, here's what I would do. Is she in Glen Allen, Henrico, Richmond, something like that?
Yeah.
So I would get up on that roof, see if you can find damage. I would potentially file with a 5/10 date of loss, because that Thursday afternoon in May, we definitely got storm damage.
Yep.
So because she's already had a reinspection and been denied on it, you're not going to get anywhere with that original claim. She can file with a new date of loss.
Well, my question is that she filed it as hail only. It's missing shingles on there.
Then I would tell her to file for hail and wind and make sure that she insists on both.
Yeah, so that was my question. Can she refile for hail and wind? The adjuster should have seen that there was missing shingles. I don't know why they wouldn't have.
It's possible.
Hey, look,
it's possible that some of that stuff happened on the 10th, or let's just say later than the original date of inspection, because the volume here hasn't been that great this year. They probably looked at it pretty fast. I mean, unless she filed at the end of April. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, if her date of loss is from last year, then the odds are you should be able to file with a new date of loss, say hail and wind, and be able to get both looked at a second time with a new claim. And then you just have to get up there with the adjuster and point stuff out to them.
Yeah, it was starting to rain. I was able to get up on the garage, and both facets, I was 10 plus on shingles easy, on loose shingles, that weren't resealing. What's that?
Kidding.
Yeah, so that's my only fear is that, she's already had it denied, but it was only hail. So I'm just like, what could my next steps be?
You just need a new data loss and a new claim, and then that will get the adjuster out there, and then you can make the argument with the adjuster. That is your best bet. Because you don't want anything associated with the old claim. And if they come out and say, well, we looked at it after that, say, well, obviously you weren't looking for the right stuff because somebody missed it. But this is a different data loss and a different claim anyway, so I don't even know why you're bringing that up.
Okay. Cool.
And then, you could even play dumb, say, I don't know anything about that other claim. And, I mean, did you look at the scope of work or anything, or did she just say they just denied her?
No, I haven't physically met with her yet. I just we had a little bit of a dry spell in between rain, so I told her she wasn't home. I said, I'm going to go try to run out and look at it real quick. Got up on her attached garage.
So here's what I'm saying is, as long as you don't see a scope of work from the other claim, like as long as they didn't write anything up, you could legitimately say, I don't know anything about that other claim, right? Now, you might, obviously that it was filed, but you don't know anything about it other than it was filed. And, if I was talking to an adjuster, I'd be like, well, I know she said she filed on something for last year, but I don't really know anything about it. Right? Okay. So that's technically true. I don't know how accurate it is because I don't know if the 510 data loss is before or after she had the reinspection. But regardless, it's probably a new date of loss. And she's more likely to get a fair shake if you bring an adjuster out under a new data loss than if you try to address it under the original data loss. Because if you try to address it under the original data loss, they're going to say appraisal or engineer or some other happy horse crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. Yeah, she just said she filed it for the May 27th of last year. I just don't know why Nathan's or whoever else came out and didn't say, hey, look, you've got loose and missing shingles.
They may have. Well, there's two things that are possible. A, they may have said that, or B, they just may not have known to look for it, and they might just believe adjusters that tell them that if it's loose or if it's not torn off a certain way, it doesn't count. Now, we know better because most adjusters and most contractors in this area don't know what they're looking at. They just don't.
Yeah.
So it's not too hard to argue that there's a lack of competence with our peers in this market when it comes to identifying damage. So that's our competitive edge.
Okay.
So, it's like, hey, I'm sure the guy knows how to put on a great roof, but unfortunately 90% of the guys, I would say 98% of the guys in this market really don't know what they're looking at. And unfortunately, that includes ladder assistant adjusters. And I would say, sometimes we find ourselves fighting a lack of competence with both our competition as well as, insurance adjusters and ladder assists. So we do sometimes have to share our opinion and point out why we think damage is damage that they just don't understand. And usually 9 times out of 10, we're able to pull it off.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good idea just to kind of approach it right off the bat. Hey, we're going to file for the 51018.
Right. Yeah,
Wind
just
and hail.
she says. I mean, if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't have to. But in my opinion, that's her best way to avoid going the appraisal route. It's the best way to avoid all the other, potential crap that can come up with a reinspection issue.
It's Liberty Mutual. So I don't know. I mean, my other thing would have been, well, can they adjust it to add wind and come back out there and look for the wind?
No, you're not going to help yourself.
Okay.
The problem is they're still going to see it as the same data loss, and they're going to say, well, then you need to go to appraisal. Or what they might tell her is you need to file a new claim with that original data loss. You don't want that either.
Okay.
Because the further you get from the data loss, just the harder it is. So.
Okay. Well, that's what would be my recommendation to her is that, hey, look, let's file it with the 510. Well, the inspections were after 510. I was like, I don't know anything about that. Let's just not worry about it. File the claim.
Right.
We've got wind and hail.
Right.
We've got missing shingles, loose shingles, not resealing. And we'll take it from there.
The only potential downside is if the guy decides to buy it on wind and he looks at pictures in the file on the prior inspection and sees that the shingles were missing on the prior inspection. They might try to charge her 2 deductibles at that point. That's the only that is a potential downside. Do you know how long the shingles have been missing, or you just haven't talked to her about it yet?
I haven't. Yep. She was.
But here's the reality. They're probably going to make her file a second claim anyway if you call up and say, hey, you missed the wind on the first one. So I don't know that there's going to be any way around that potential dagger anyway.
I have another customer that has Liberty, but they allowed her to amend the claim to include wind. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. They didn't inspect for wind, but in the notes of the case of the claim, it had wind. So they're on the hook to come back and.
Yeah, no, that's different. If you feel like there's enough wind damage to get it bought, then sure, chase that. But if you feel like there's a good mix of wind and hail, then I would consider filing with a new date.
Okay. And just one last.
How strong are you on the wind? Do you think that the roof could get paid for on wind?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I've got 10 plus shingles that are not resealing, where I just lift them up and they come right up with debris underneath them. I didn't see a lot. Now, they were wet, so it's a little difficult to tell. But Vinny was asking if I saw the creases from bending up, but that was a little more difficult to tell. I would have said no if I'd have been put on the spot. But, I mean, on each facet of the garage, I mean, it was right away. I mean, I did the test square and got the 10 plus on loose shingles right away.
Yeah, I don't know. Wind is much harder to get bought than hail, but.
What are they going to do if it's so many loose shingles? They're just going to say reseal it all?
Well, they might argue that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what kind of shape the roof is in, so.
3-tab. So I don't know.
20-year-old 310.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember if it was GAF or you or Vin or somebody said that once you get them above so many in your test square that it becomes I think it's a GAF recommendation or a requirement that you can't reseal.
Shingles aren't designed to be resealed. They're designed to be sealed on installation, and when you break that factory seal, now you're going with a hand seal. That's not the condition the roof was in before the seal was broken. So why would you recommend a repair that doesn't give them the same protection they had before the event happened? That's more of an insurance argument as opposed to a construction argument. The construction argument is, hey, I can't guarantee that a hand seal is going to work. The shingles are old.
Yeah, they're very old. Well, what I might do, if you're just depending on when it dries up or whatever, depending on what the weather is next couple of days when I get out there, if you're in the area, I might have you come meet me or something if you're close by.
Sure. Well, we can look at it and talk it through. I mean, at the end of the day, what you don't want to do is you don't want to put the customer in a position where they got to pay 2 deductibles, especially if it's sizable. So.
Yeah, shit. No,
Liberty Mutual is all over the board. I've seen $250 deductibles with them, and I've seen $2,500 deductibles with them. So really, who knows? But at the end of the day, even if she had $2,000 deductibles, that's still cheaper than having to pay for the whole thing herself.
Yeah. She's
And
just
Liberty Mutual is they're not easy, but they'll at least work with you on supplements, so you should be able to get a decent price for the roof.
Yeah, she's just frustrated because everybody else around her's, you've heard the story. Everybody's getting bought but her.
Why does everybody have a roof but me? Yeah, I know. I've got like 3 people I'm trying to supplement right now that all have that same situation. So. And
it's not far from, it's off of John Rolfe Parkway. Right. So it's not far from that April Bud, that hazel tree area. So right. Open. So. All right, dude. Well, it's after midnight, so I'm going to go hit the hay.
Yep. Hey, I sent you the password.
Yeah, is that a yeah, okay.
You want to try to log in real quick just to see if you can get in, because I logged out, so.
Let's see.
At least you could verify that you can get in.
It's asking me to install Silverlight again.
You're on Internet Explorer?
Yeah.
Try hitting refresh on your browser.
Second here. There it goes.
It's probably just a cookie issue.
Yeah, it says the same version of Silverlight is already installed.
Yep.
Let me close out the browser and redo it. Open with Internet Explorer. Go. What's that? 8.com/XO, right?
Yep.
/. It's telling me to do it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know if you have a 32-bit or a 64-bit processor?
I don't know. It's a
HP. Is it a desktop or laptop?
It's a desktop HP.
Well, I guess you can't bring it to me then.
Let's see. Don't block cookies. Anything I need to here? I'm wondering if no, it shouldn't have anything to do with my antivirus. Let's see.
I know guys have had trouble with Silverlight before. I'm trying to remember what.
And why won't it work with Firefox or?
It doesn't work right. Let's see how to clean a corrupted. Let's see.
Install for Windows.
I keep getting prompted to install Silverlight. Follow the troubleshooting steps below to resolve the, let's see. Clear browser cookies. Restart your browser. Ensure the Silverlight add-on is enabled. Disable ActiveX filtering in Internet Explorer. Select the gear icon or tools from the upper right side of your browser. Select Safety. Uncheck ActiveX filtering. What's that?
No, I was just coughing. So go up to notes, share, see. Let's open with Internet Explorer again here. What is this? This is something different. Okay, maybe it's working now. Let's see. Come on. Xactimate / so. Okay, now it says waiting for Xactimate.
That sounds
No,
good.
now it's saying, what's it doing to me now? What is this? Come on. Okay, it looks like it's working now. Well, it's loading something. It's past the silver light anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, if you got like, it looks almost like a circle filling up.
Yeah, loading.
Like, yeah, loading, and it's like 0%, 15%, whatever.
Yep.
That's a plus.
Yep. What's it doing? Okay.